SATSA says it was a mixed bag of data in the 12 months to October. Chief Director for Price Statistics, Patrick Kelly.
The CPI increased by 0.1% month on month in October 2025. The transport, recreation, sport and culture, and alcoholic beverages and tobacco categories recorded faster annual inflation rates. On the other side, inflation slowed for several categories, most noticeably restaurants and accommodation services and food and non-alcoholic beverages.
Police Minister Senzo Mkhunu's Chief of Staff, Cedric Ngabinde, is back to face Parliament's ad hoc committee, which is probing allegations of police corruption. His return comes after MPs sent him away last week for submitting inconsistent information in his evidence and sworn statement. His appearance follows yesterday's submissions by crime activist Mary de Haas, who was grilled over the letters she wrote to Mkhunu calling on him to disband the political killings task team. Babalondenze reports.
Cedric Ngabinde's hearing last week was abandoned halfway after he got his dates wrong in his sworn statement and in his oral testimony. The dates were related to when he first came into contact with controversial businessman Brown Mokhotsi, as well as Senzo Mkhunu's travelling dates after he became the police minister. Ngabinde had also informed the committee about his close relationship with KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Evidence leader Advocate Norman Arendse said last night that Ngabinde made a new submission.
To request through you that the honourable members bring the original Ngabinde statement, because this evening while we were sitting here, we received what they now call a supplementary statement, which is not the same.
Ngabinde's appearance will be followed by Police Head of Procurement, General Molefe Fani, tomorrow. Babalondenze, Eyewitness News.
To this now, law enforcement is urging groups planning to protest on the sidelines of this weekend's G20 Leaders Summit to express their grievances within the bounds of the law. With international heads of state expected in Johannesburg for the summit, some groups have indicated their intention to hold demonstrations to voice their concerns. The National Joint Operational and Intelligence Structure says law enforcement will combatively respond to anyone who poses a threat to the security of the international visitors. Speaking at a media briefing last night, Nat Joint's co-chair, Dibelo Mosikidi, emphasized that police will not tolerate any unlawful behavior.
Failure to do so could land you in a wrong side of the law, and we shall not hesitate to act decisively with any acts of lawlessness. We know our rights as South Africans, and we shall exercise those rights without fear or favor, but within the confines of the law.
At the same time, B20 co-chairperson Nonkululeko Nyembezi says the Business Engagement Group has hit the mark on its targets for the year. The B20 summit, it's in its second day today at the Sandton Convention Centre, bringing together business leaders from G20 member countries and beyond. It comes just days before South Africa wraps up its G20 presidency. Nyembezi says the B20 did not reinvent the wheel, carrying on from policy priorities set during Brazil's presidency last year.
You will see, for example, in our papers that we have tables that explicitly demonstrate the links between the proposals that we put forward, this year's recommendations, and the previous KPIs that have been put before. If anything, we have just fine-tuned the implementability, because we did also say this would be an action-oriented B20.
She says she believes that talks at the B20 will ensure inclusive growth through global cooperation.
Clearly, the proof will emerge over the next months, years, etc. But I can confidently predict that the recommendations we're putting forward come not with rhetorical fluff, but with very, very specific KPIs.
Let's move to the Western Cape now, where one person has been killed in Mitchell's Plain during a shootout between police and armed suspects. National Intervention Unit members followed up on information about armed suspects travelling in a Toyota Hilux this morning. The vehicle was followed from Nyanga Township, and when the suspects spotted the police vehicle, they opened fire. The police's Wesley Twig says the officers returned fire, killing one suspect in the exchange. He says 4 others have been arrested.
An AK-47 rifle and 2 9mm pistols with ammunition were recovered on the scene. 2 private vehicles were damaged when the suspect's vehicle collided with the vehicles The circumstances surrounding the death of the one suspect are under investigation by IPID.
And Guinea-Bissau is set to take to the polls on Sunday. More than 800,000 voters will choose between 12 candidates, including incumbent President Umaro Sissoco Embalo, who is a favorite to land a second five-year term. The country is seeking to turn the page on a tumultuous history of coups and unrest. The country is one of the poorest in the world, with more than 40% of its population living in extreme poverty. Gold is trading at $4,090.14 an ounce. The rand is at 17.19 to the dollar, 22.57 to the pound, 19.90 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $64.89 a barrel.
Well, at this stage, heading into the Joburg CBD, that's coming from the Germiston area, expect heavy delays, about a 20-minute delay through the M2 westbound. This is between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange, while in the Mother City, there's also slow-moving traffic on the M5 northbound approaching Berkeley Road, and also bumper-to-bumper traffic on the elevated freeway heading into the CBD of Cape Town.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng with isolated showers and thundershowers expected. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 23 and 27 degrees, while Cape Town is fine and windy with a strong southeasterly wind at a high of 28. The top story in EWN this hour: annual consumer price inflation rose to 3.6% in October, slightly up from the 3.4% seen in the previous month.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. I'm Jane Dutton. I'm in for Mandy Wiener today. Lots to talk about. And oh, the irony, Joburg gets a G20 makeover while Tshwane's buildings sit in the dark. The CEO of the National Housing Finance Corporation, that's the state key housing funding arm, has been suspended as government probes hit the institution. NPA head Shamila Batoy appears at the Nkabinde inquiry today, drilling into how major state capture cases stalled under Andrew Chauke. Police Minister's Chief of Staff Cedric Nkabinde is under fire after, quote, thumb-sucking key dates in his affidavit. We're going to dip in and listen to a little about what he has to say. And SAMWU insists its strike threats weren't a G20 hostage drama, just bad timing, apparently. I'd love to hear from you on any of those topics. You know what to do. Send us a voice note, send us a message on the WhatsApp number, which is 072 702 1702.
702 on 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
And on DSTV channel 856.
Cedric Nkabinde, the Police Minister's Chief of Staff, finds himself under scrutiny again after testimony riddled with contradictions and admissions that he, quote, thumb-sucked key dates in his affidavit. A credibility crisis making the ad hoc inquiry turn its gaze at both him and the office he serves. Babalo Ndenze is on this story. Babalo, what have we heard today so far?
Good afternoon, Jane. We've just heard now legal discussions about legal technicalities in Cedric Nkabinde's submission, that is his original submission, which he amended, and he also submitted a supplementary affidavit as well, which is being discussed at the moment. And now some members of the committee have issues with this supplementary. They say it's, too different from his sworn statement, his original statement, and it can't really be considered a supplementary. It's a new statement. So there are debates around that issue, but they've agreed now to move on with the discussion. Cedric Nkabinde, they haven't put any questions to him yet as far as the evidence that they're supposed to lead today. That would be Advocate Norman Arons as well as members of the committee. But they have discussed this at length. And, Norman Arons had tried to explain to the members, why this supplementary was submitted. It came in late last night. He announced that there's a new supplementary submission during the late night meeting yesterday with Mary de Haas, the UKZN, crime activist who was giving her submissions. But just take a listen to what Advocate Norman Arons had to say about what Cedric Nkabinde's mistakes were during last week Thursday's hearing, Jane.
The witness, Mr. Nkabinde, when he last appeared, ran into some difficulty explaining some of the dates. These difficulties were discussed by honourable committee members, and subsequently, Chair, you ruled that the hearing would be discontinued and that Mr. Nkabinde would be given an opportunity with his legal team to make adjustments to what he had told the committee and what's in his statement. He had used an unfortunate term like that some of these dates were a thumbsuck. He had also complained that he didn't have access to his devices because of the search and seizure operation.
And by the way, do we know what sort of communications, diaries, or device logs exist to substantiate any of Nkabinde's timelines, and when he talks about the alleged meetings with Brian Mokgotsi and other senior police officials?
Well, his initial, explanation or excuse last week, for getting those inconsistencies in his submission was that his devices, as Norman Arons has said, were seized during that seize operation at his house and also at Minister Senzo Mkhulu's place, where they also came and took some devices. And he says, had he had these devices, he might not have, run into difficulties. He might have been able to confirm exactly when he made contact with Brian Mokgotsi last year, November, and when the Minister Senzo Mkhulu, went to Lusikisiki soon after his appointment as the minister, to some crime that had occurred in Lusikisiki. I think it was the murder of 18 family members, if you remember. That's the date he got wrong in relation to the minister's itinerary and his traveling arrangements. But he seems to have fixed those mistakes. And he says now, it looks like he may have been able to get some more details either through these devices or to assistance with the people that seized the devices, which is also a part of the issues that he raised even today that were discussed by members of the committee. So it looks like he's been able to plug these gaps, and he's been able to verify certain details through assistance with his legal team. He's here with a little entourage, which is also assisting him. And I think the evidence leaders have also assisted him. And we also heard Brian Mokgotsi yesterday also almost giving him a lifeline, so to speak, Jane, saying that he may have fabricated certain WhatsApp messages to Nkabinde. So it looks like that will also pop up at some point today as members of the committee and the evidence leader, continue to question Nkabinde about his sworn statement and his supplementary affidavit.
I know this is probably preempting what we're all hoping to hear, but I mean, everybody's asking, when are we going to see anything? When are we going to hear about any sort of possible repercussions? What are you hearing in the corridors?
Well, repercussions will depend on, the final report or that report that the committee will submit, and it looks like it will be sometime next year. That's my objective, prediction, Jane, because they've requested an extension. The committee is supposed to end its business or its hearings on the 28th of November, which is next week. They've met with the speaker. They've requested an extension into, early December, mid-December. So they're still waiting for the National Assembly House to, adopt a report that will basically, give them permission to extend their hearings. But it looks like we're going to hear repercussions or recommendations in the final report on what should happen to the ministers or what should happen to members of the police that are implicated, maybe early January or late December, if I can maybe predict, Jane.
Yesterday we heard such dramatic admissions about 007 and CIA and Mary DeHaas and all that emotion there. It's a lot calmer today, isn't it?
It's a lot calmer today. I think the members know exactly what Cedric Nkabinde's statement contains. They've already asked him questions last week for half a day, so they won't be starting all over or starting afresh. They'll be continuing from where they left off, which will be questions around his communications with Brian Mokgotsi, as well as the PKTT disbandment and the letter that Cedric Nkabinde, wrote to IDAC. That's the, investigating directorate against corruption, and this is part of the alleged interference from the chief of staff as part of these hearings and these terms of reference. So we might hear more of that definitely coming up this afternoon. But a lot of PKTT evidence will be led as well, Mandy, especially as well as some of the letters that were written to Minister Senzo Mkhulu by Mary DeHaas yesterday that she confirmed. So we're going to hear definitely more about this correspondence and Cedric Nkabinde's role in the disbandment or the directive to disband the PKTT.
She was also talking about the political killing task team and some of the abuses that she highlighted there. Let's leave it there, Babalo, but we're going to dip in and listen to what's coming out of the ad hoc committee.
That's correct.
So these dates that you now referred to, you reconcile that with the personal diary of Minister Mkunu's PA?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. So let's go there. Can I refer you to your original affidavit? To paragraph 75. It's under the subheading Brown Mogotsi on page 24, and it goes through to 83. You see that?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. And at paragraph 75, you said, as indicated, I was present at the Portfolio Committee meeting of Police on 5 March 2025. During this meeting, Lieutenant General Nkwenazi indicated to the meeting that I confirmed to him that Brown Mogotsi was a person who is close to the Minister. And then in the following paragraph, in this regard, I wish to clarify that I received a call from Lieutenant General Nkwenazi on 30 September while I was with the Minister on a visit to Lusikisiki in relation to the killings that had happened in Lusikisiki. So that is where that's the first occasion where there was a pause and several questions, and you now address this in your supplementary affidavit at paragraph 57. Or rather, perhaps you should just start. You record this in a chronology, your record of communications with Mr. Mogotsi for 20.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Questions being asked about what's happened at some of the details surrounding Lusikisiki, and there was that mass murder there, and also some of the comments that Nkwenazi had made about it. So this is obviously going to go on for some time now. That's the discussions with Cedric and Kabinda, the Police Minister's Chief of Staff.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Click season is different from any other ho. Oh? Yes, here's why. Mix and match any 3 festive gifts with a purple sticker.
Oh.
And get the lowest one free.
Oh.
With the famous Clicks Purple Sticker promotion. It's Oh. Only at Clicks. Feel good, pay less. Deals valid until 24 December or while stocks last. T's and C's apply.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
This year, the City of Gold will be welcoming 19 countries for the G20 happening for the first time in South Africa. Today, John Perlman will be talking to Neptal Khoza from Santam. He'll discuss the importance of this sponsorship, Santam's involvement in the G20 Disaster Risk Reduction Working Group, and other Santam initiatives and programs. Don't miss the conversation on 702 Drive with John Perlman. Today, between 3 and 6 p.m. Let's walk the talk.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
So the Nkabinda inquiry, not to be confused with Cedric Nkabinda, who has been testifying this morning and been asked questions. This inquiry into Andrew Chauke's fitness for office continues today after a messy day of testimony yesterday, exposed contradictions, missing timelines and fresh questions about how major cases were handled under his watch. Evidence leaders accused Chauke of selectively prosecuting some matters while letting others, including high-profile corruption and violent crime cases, wither. Today, all eyes turn to NPA head Shamila Bitoy. Khomotso Modise, EWN reporters on this story. Bitoy, she sat out yesterday waiting patiently or possibly impatiently for her big moment. I see she's back in the chair now. What has she said so far?
Good afternoon, Jane. Yes, that's right. Shamila Batoy sitting in a holding room the entire day yesterday as she waited to be called to have her turn in the hot seat before the Nkabinde inquiry. Now, she's just taken her seat now, and she started with a bit of a preamble, addressing the inquiry on the basis of her complaint. You would know that Shamila Batoy is the main complainant in this matter as the NPA head, and she's laid this complaint with President Cyril Ramaphosa, Advocate Andrew Chauke, on his prosecutorial decision-making. Yesterday, we heard Chauke's lawyer, Advocate Tembeka Ngcukaitobi, detailing that Chauke didn't do anything out of malice. He insists that Chauke's decision-making was based on the evidence before him. Of course, as you said in your intro, Jane, a lot of this is based on many high-profile cases, too, to be exact. The first one is the case involving former crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli, where he was linked to the murder of a man who he shared a lover with. And what we know is that over the years since that 1999 murder, Mdluli was not prosecuted for murder. He was only charged and prosecuted for kidnapping, and ultimately he was convicted of kidnapping and assault to cause grievous bodily harm. So that's the first one. The question is why Advocate Andrew Chauke did not prosecute Richard Mdluli with murder. And what we understand is that Shamila Batoy believes that decision was warped on the part of Andrew Chauke and was politically motivated. And of course, the second one, Jane, is the one of the racketeering charges against former KZN Hawks head, Johan Boysen, who was charged with racketeering. The charges were ultimately dropped. Those charges were baseless. So what we're expecting today, Jane, is that Shamila Batoy must detail why she laid that complaint with President Cyril Ramaphosa and why she believes Andrew Chauke is not fit to hold office.
So it'll be interesting to see what sort of evidence she comes up with, and the fact that nobody in the NPA was able to stop it sooner, even though we know she raised it some time back.
Yes, so she laid her complaint in 2023. The complaint goes to President Cyril Ramaphosa, and it seems that's where the delay was. It's taken the president over 2 years to establish this commission of inquiry, and even the commission itself has been delayed by over a month and a half. So it's really been quite a journey to get to this point. But it does seem that the commissioners here have the will to get to the bottom of what happened and what's been happening at the NPA in Johannesburg. Of course, Advocate Andrew Chauke is the Johannesburg prosecution's boss, so his role in that division is what's being scrutinized here. And we are expecting to see more witnesses from both sides, Jane, to detail what they believe goes in.
All right.
Chauke was wrong in his decision making.
All right, we just lost you there for a moment. Motso Modise, thank you very much for that.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
God, this seems relentless, doesn't it? These corruption stories that just keep unraveling in front of us. Now we're hearing that the head of the National Housing Finance Corporation, Azola Mayekiso, who took over the post only in March 2023, has been suspended due to ongoing governance probes into the organization. And it obviously raises fresh concerns about oversight and transparency in state housing funding at a time when South Africa faces a housing crisis. Let's speak more about this. Let's bring in Satish Rupa, Chair of Human Capital Committee. Thank you very much for joining us. What happened?
Good afternoon, Jane, and thanks for having me. So the board of the NHFC, following a detailed review on governance and compliance issues, reached a decision to suspend the CEO, which is a precautionary suspension, in order to protect the integrity of investigations that are now unfolding.
All right. I mean, what are we talking about here? How much money is possibly at stake, and where did the irregularities occur?
So the investigations are still to unfold, and at this point in time, the processes for the investigation are now taking place.
All right. What can you tell us about who possibly approved any funding structures or loan deals that are now under investigation? And what about political figures involved? Are any names going to come out of this?
No, this is purely a governance issue, and it's about compliance with procedures and processes that apply to the NHFC with regards to policy.
What sort of impact did Azolo Mayekiso have on the National Housing Finance Corporation ahead of these allegations?
Well, the organization was functioning below par in terms of its annual performance programs, and consequently there were a huge amount of interest from the portfolio committee and a number of other stakeholders, including the executive authority, that we are, as a board, required to pay focus attention on the mandate of the NHFC.
So, do you think this decision has been taken too late? I mean, it is 2 years down the line.
So, the board, of which I am a member, was appointed in August this year. Upon our arrival, we were flooded with complaints from various different quarters. The board then had to do its own due diligence and investigations to establish the veracity or not of whether investigations have to be conducted. After thorough processes, we then reached the conclusion that in the interest of the organization and the CEO, that we put her on precautionary suspension in order for the investigations and its integrity to be intact. This will be done transparently, independently, and without interference in the process.
How will this suspension affect current housing projects and possibly loan commitments already made under Mayekiso's leadership?
So in no way will it impact on the operations of the organization. All of our operations, funding programs, and strategic partnerships continue under the appointment of the acting CEO, Mr. Jabulani Fakazi.
All right, and briefly, how long do you think this is going to take?
The inquiry in terms of legal prescripts needs to be concluded within a period of 90 days, and we'll do our level best to do it as expeditiously as we possibly can.
Satish Rupa, we look forward to finding out the outcome of this investigation. Chair of Human Capital Committee, thank you. It's 12:30, time for the news headlines.
Thanks, Jane. A very good afternoon. Annual consumer price inflation rose to 3.6% in October, slightly up from the 3.4% seen in the previous month. This is lower than market expectations, but still the highest print since September 2024, when inflation heated up to 3.8%. Releasing the latest print today, Stats SA says it was a mixed bag of data in the 12 months to October. One person has been killed in Mitchell's Plain during a shootout between police and armed suspects. National Intervention Unit members followed up on information about armed suspects travelling in a Toyota Hilux this morning. The vehicle was followed from Nyanga Township, and when the suspects spotted the police vehicle, they allegedly opened fire. And in Japan, one person has been killed in a major fire which damaged 170 buildings in the Japanese city of Oita. Firefighters are still struggling to extinguish the blaze in the residential area after it also spread to a mountain nearby. Footage shared with local media shows firefighters battling the blaze while residents are taken to a makeshift evacuation centre. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
A very good afternoon. I'm Tato Muloto. Big weekend for the Springboks, who are facing Ireland on Saturday. The last time the two sides met, it was heartbreak for South Africa, who lost 25-24 at home. The Boks are looking good, though, having won all three their year-end matches so far. But for prop Thomas du Toit, he walks into this game with caution.
I think there's a couple of things that would be very similar to what we faced against France and Italy, both being unbelievably physical sides. The one thing that might be a little bit different is a little bit more of a structured game. They really understand their game very well. They understand it a couple of phases ahead. They know who they want to target, so it's going to be a little bit different, but it doesn't really change anything for us. We do our homework as best we can and we adapt on the day.
In cricket, from SA20s to his Proteas T20I debut, 28-year-old bowling all-rounder Dayan Khalim has been called up to join Shukri Conrad's side. This ahead of day 2 of their series with India, which they are 1-0 up. While the England men have announced a 12-player squad for the opening Ashes test, Ben Stokes leads the side as they meet Australia for their opener on Friday. In football, 42 nations have now qualified for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Spain, Austria and Switzerland all through after last night's results, and after 28 years, Scotland are back in the finals after a 4-2 win over Denmark, with manager Steve Clarke not taking this achievement lightly.
Felt the pressure of the nation to try to get to World Cup, so immediately that falls off your shoulders and you feel a little bit better, but what a fantastic group of players. Never give up. I've said it.
Finally, on the tennis court, yesterday, Carlos Alcaraz announced that he is out of the Davis Cup. Well, we've got more on that and the reasons behind him pulling out of the tournament. The world number one says that he's experiencing swelling in his right hamstring and his medical team has advised him to withdraw. Tato Moloto, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this hour, if you're heading into the Joburg CBD coming from the Germiston area, you can expect more than a 30-minute delay. This is on the M2 westbound between Heidelberg Road and the Crown Interchange. Not clear what's causing this delay, so if you have further info, please let us know. WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic. There's also slow-moving traffic. This is due to those ongoing roadworks in the Calvin Alex area, N3 in both directions. This is between London Road and the Patlu Interchange. Also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is traveling through Pinoni, leaving Brakpan on Rangeview Road between Dube and Tom Jones. While in the Mother City, slow-moving traffic, M5 northbound approaching Barclay Road. Also expect some delays heading into the Cape Town CBD on the elevated freeway. If you come across any other traffic issues, remember we are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
For 3 consecutive years, Nedbank has been recognized as the best investment bank in South Africa at the Global Banking and Finance Review Awards. Whether helping clients navigate cross-border risks or building financing frameworks that support market reform, Nedbank is a partner in more than just capital. We're part of the architecture supporting Africa's renewable energy future. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
After a short migration, the family arrives at the premier resort, rich in food, drink, and entertainment. The young, freed from classroom captivity, head straight for Kids Club and the safety of the herd. The adult male meanders to the scuba center, while the matriarch basks by the pool.
Book your resort escape to Knysna, East London, Scottborough or Sunny Pass at premierhotels.co.za.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like the eager beaver driving to meet the woman of his dreams. Butterflies in his stomach, GPS on full volume. He checks his hair for the 7th time.
Looking good.
The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a possible love story on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Step into a world of unforgettable experiences in Dubai. From luxury beaches to underwater adventures. From authentic traditions to futuristic museums. Make it a Dubai adventure to remember with Emirates. Fly to Dubai from one of 3 gateways in South Africa. Start your holiday the moment you board with delicious regional meals, complimentary drinks, and up to 6,500 channels of entertainment. Fly Emirates. Fly better.
In business, SMEs on the move
need an ABSA Business Revolve credit card to ensure everyday expenses are always well managed.
ABSA gets it.
You know, everybody's trying to make sure that they've got enough stock to meet client demand, but also balancing that to ensure that they don't have too much stock. And then, you know, really trying to make sure that they maintain profit margin. So we recognize this at ABSA, and I think this is exactly why we've developed this Business Revolve credit card product. And I think the key standout from a benefits and features perspective is that this credit card offers up to 55 days interest-free. So what that means is that a lot of these businesses will be able to buy stock now and only really have to pay for that stock in 55 days' time, freeing up that working capital.
702 Drive with John Perlman was in conversation with Pascal Albrecht,
Executive for Commercial Issuing Product at ABSA Business Banking.
Visit primemediaplus.com to hear more with ABSA on 702.
ABSA is an authorized FSP and a registered credit provider. T's and C's apply. ABSA, your story matters.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
And this is the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener, but today it is with me, Jane Dutton, and I'd love to hear from you on some of the stories that we've been talking about. The WhatsApp line is 072 702 1702. We were listening a little earlier about some of the traffic conditions in Johannesburg. I'm sure it's a little easier in Cape Town, though we know it gets really bad after 3 o'clock. But in Joburg, drivers are in for a rough week, and they have been as the G20 summit brings widespread road shutdowns across the city, affecting major routes like the N1, the N12, and the R21, spilling into areas such as Sandton, Rosebank and Nasrec. Let's bring in Xolani Fichler, JMPD spokesperson. A very good afternoon to you. Tell us what's happening out there that we haven't been made aware of until now, and what does this mean for us who need to drive somewhere?
Thank you so much to you, Jane. Let me greet the listeners. As you did mention that we are heading towards the Leader Summit happening on the 22nd and the 23rd. But of course, there have been exercises and operations that have been happening leading towards the summit. And some of these, of course, have been affecting major routes within the city of Johannesburg, but also in other areas of Gauteng province. That's the city of Ekurhuleni and the city of Tshwane. And of course, we'll be seeing a lot of movement from all our visitors who will be coming to the city, and especially at Nasrec Expo Center for the summit. And some of the major routes that will then be affected, that's in all 3 metros. It's the N1 in Pretoria between Atterbury Road and Samrand Avenue, and in Johannesburg it's between Olifantsfontein Road and Rancho Road. Of course, the N3 will also be affected. That's on the south, and N3 North flyover. On the N12, it's between the Elands Interchange and the Dickcliff Interchange. Parts of the N14 and the R21, that's the south and Outless off-ramp, and the R21 south and the Voortrekker off-ramp. The R24 west coming from our Tambo, and of course the M1 from Woodley Drive towards the Eldorado Park off-ramp. And within the urban areas in the city of Johannesburg, areas that will be affected is Sandton, it's Melrose Arc, it's the Randburg area, particularly Rosebank, Westcliff and Parkview, in Fourways, in Roodepoort, and of course in Nasrec. But we'll be having soft closures on the most parts of these areas, except in Nasrec, where we'll be having full closures, and the full closures will then be implemented. Actually, they have been implemented already. One of them on Golden Highway, that's between Rancho Road and Soweto Highway. It was implemented 2 days ago. And of course, Rancho Road, which then will be split into a dual carriage, allowing our residents who live in the residential area adjacent to the Nasrec Expo Center to have movement as well. And of course, also on Nasrec Road. But we are offering alternative routes for our residents moving within all these parts in the city of Johannesburg and in the city of Tshwane. And if you are traveling between Ekurhuleni and Tshwane, instead of using the R21, you can use the N57. You can also use smaller regional routes traveling through Germiston and Kempton Park and Bedfordview instead of R24 and N12 West. In Roodepoort, you can use Beesmeer Drive, Christian de Wet Road, on Derkers Road instead of Henry Potgieter Road. And instead of using Winnie Mandela Drive in Fourways, you can use the main road, Cedar Road or Witkoppen Road. And in the Sandton Rosebank Parktown area, use streets parallel to Jan Smuts Avenue, Oxford Road and Riverina Road. One of those streets you can definitely use is Caller Drive, Sandton Drive and 11th Avenue. You can also use Marlborough Drive. And in the southern part of Johannesburg, you can use Chris Honey Road, Main Reef Road, Crownwood Road, Soweto Highway, the N17, Aerodrome Road or Adcock Ingram Road.
Wow, I hope you are going to be able to let us access this kind of information, because obviously that was quite a bit to absorb, a briefy one, if you will.
Yes.
I mean, how do we deal with the gridlock and the smaller streets which are going to be clogged as traffic is diverted?
As traffic is diverted, as I did mention, that we are urging our residents to use the alternative routes, but we'll definitely have clear signage on the days, and of course our officers will be on the ground monitoring those alternative routes and diverting our residents as well. But at the end of the day, to reassure them that the roads will be reopened, as I did mention earlier, that some of the roads will be reopened after the convoys have passed. As I did mention earlier before, that we'll be having soft closures on most of those routes except in the Nasrec area. So the time periods of the operations, it's between 7 and 10 o'clock in the morning and between 5 o'clock in the afternoon and 8 in the evening. So between those times, motorists can expect some significant traffic disruptions. But as I did mention, the roads will then be reopened once the convoys have moved past.
In other words, we're all preparing for hell, but thank you for letting us know how we can circumvent that if possible. Xolani Fechler, good luck to you and your team.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
So the South African Municipal Workers Union is pushing back at claims that it's threatened a Joburg strike and that it was timed to hold the city hostage during the G20, insisting the overlap was pure coincidence. The union is also saying it's fighting for a 10.3 billion rand in long overdue wage adjustments and denies knowing anything about the allegation that the city diverted 4 billion from its capital budget to stop the strike. Let's get down to the bottom of this with Tobani Kosi, Regional Secretary of SAMWU. Very good afternoon to you. So if this was truly a coincidence, why escalate strike threats same week Joburg is hosting the G20?
Oh, good afternoon to you, Jane, and your listeners. In actual fact, we've never escalated any strike towards the hosting of G20 summit here in South Africa and Johannesburg in particular. All we did, we're in a process of negotiations, and in any case where negotiations there's a deadlock or fall apart, a certificate might be issued by the Bargaining Council, because that's where we were heading. So there was a possibility of a certificate being issued. We were not even going to have a strike that's illegal or unprotected. So we're in a process of facilitation. If we did deadlock, we are going to then declare that dispute and take it from there. So there was never a day where we declared that we'll strike sometime this week.
Well, I should imagine then the G20 and the meeting at the moment is going to work in your favor, because you're demanding a 10.3 billion rand in wage adjustments. Is this going to expedite the process, speed it up?
No, actually, this is a process we've worked through with the City of Johannesburg. This 10.3 billion emanates from a strike that took place in 2015, and a politically facilitated agreement was signed the very same year, 2015 December. So what was supposed to happen by 2016, the city should have then adjusted employees' salaries to a proper category, wherein the City of Johannesburg is rated at category A as a municipality or the grade 10. So with our senior officials in the City of Johannesburg, they are getting paid at a grade 10 salary scale, while employees are paid at a grade 8 salary scale, of which then it became a discrepancy, including councillors of Johannesburg are paid at grade 10. So therefore, this was not just a mere fight or something that we decided to wake up and demand. It's a process that informed the total of 10.3 billion.
Okay, so what are you going to be doing over the next couple of days and towards next week? Are you going to be staying away from any strike action? Can you confirm that for us?
In actual fact, we have signed an agreement with the City of Johannesburg as of yesterday, the 18th of November 2025, as to how they are going to phase in the payment of this 10.3 billion. So no strike, no declaration of any dispute, no deadlock. So therefore, everything is normal in the City of Johannesburg. We'll just continue dealing with any other issue that concerns workers in the City of Johannesburg.
Thanks for confirming that for us. Tabani Nkosi, Regional Secretary of SAMWU.
As leaders in renewable energy finance, Nedbank has a track record spanning over 100 years. From pioneering large-scale solar and wind farms to financing complex energy infrastructure in emerging markets, Nedbank offers clients deep sector expertise, combined with the ability to navigate the unique challenges of Africa's just energy transition. See money differently. Nedbank. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Upgrade your summer to extraordinary with free gifts from Vodacom on all summer deals. Like the Redmi 15 on a Red Flexi 160 plan for just 199 per month over 36 months. And get Redmi Bud 6 Play worth 399 on us. Plus, enjoy even more extras with 5 gigs YouTube data and 2 months free YouTube Premium. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
The annual consumer inflation for September 2025 has come in at 3.4%. That's up slightly from 3.3% in August. While it's still comfortably inside the Reserve Bank's 3.6% target range, the rise comes at a rather sensitive moment. The country's endured more than 2 years of high interest rates. Let's bring in Patrick Kelly, Head of Price Statistics at Statistics South Africa. Good afternoon to you, Patrick. What happened?
Hello, Jane. Yes, well, the CPI ticked up a little bit in October to 3.6%. So that was from 3.4% in September. We have seen inflation levels at this kind of rate for the last few months. Kind of between around about 3.5%. I think that the the key kind of features that we could look at would be food inflation, which actually has slowed down quite significantly to 3.9%. That's from 4.5% in September.
And do you think we're heading into a higher for longer interest rate cycle?
Yeah, we leave those kind of things up to the Reserve Bank, and we try and focus on the figures that Stats SA. But I do think that people will be aware that the Reserve Bank and National Treasury have announced that there's a kind of different look at the inflation target, that trying to anchor it down at the 3% level. Certainly we are above that, but they've given themselves 1 percentage point tolerance. So I guess you could say it's between 3 and 4%. So we are certainly within that range. I think that there's quite a lot of moving parts, but on the whole, if we look at both food, as I've mentioned, even fuel prices, which is often a key driver of inflation on a month-to-month basis, has been ticking up a little bit, but is basically flat on a year-to-year basis.
What does it mean for us, the consumer?
Well, I think what it means is that we are not paying significantly more for this basket of goods and services than we were a year ago. Historically, 3.6% is on the lower end of what we've experienced as South Africans. But if one delves into it, certainly one would feel the pinch on particular products. So if we look, for example, at pup and beef, which are very common, things that people would eat, beef products are at high levels, 30, 27% inflation. Maize meal is over 10% year on year. Even if we look at some key vegetables like pumpkin, 37% year on year. So certainly there are pockets where people are experiencing quite high inflation, but if we look at the overall economic reality for households, it's fairly subdued.
Thank you very much for that. Patrick Kelly, Head of Price Statistics at Statistics SA.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
The Living Rights Festival opens with a brutally honest lens on the world's worst crises, from Sudan's unpunished mass killings to Gaza's relentless bombardment and the global powers enabling them. Organised by the Institute for African Alternatives, this 2-week program confronts a bit of truth institutions that claim to defend human rights but have failed. Nazima Mohammed is the Living Rights Festival coordinator. Very good afternoon to you. You've got a strong focus on artists and activists and citizens during these 2 weeks. Why do they carry the moral burden that international bodies and political elites have abandoned?
Good afternoon, Jane. Thank you for having me on your show. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay. One of the things that inspired us was last year listening to Francisca Albanese talk about the need for citizen diplomacy, and when governments fail or international structures fail, she said it's up to the people, to civic organizations, civil rights organizations, to take a stand and to pressurize their governments to do something that will improve the state of the world and to counter the kind of violence and totalitarianism that we're seeing all over the world at the moment. So the festival actually started last year, and the first thing we focused on was international law and looking at the role of the United Nations. And this year our theme is on resisting erasure, considering genocide in various regions of the world, and the way in which armed forces are going about doing ethnic cleansing and destroying education institutions, cultural organizations, museums, etc. We feel that it's really important that we resist this kind of erasure and the silencing of memory. And we look at the future, and we look at what the world holds for our children and grandchildren.
All right, so who's going to be making these comments? What sort of conversations are you going to be having? How do we dip in? Where do we find you?
Okay, so the festival opens on Friday, and the first conversation is about Sudan and Palestine. And it's going to be at the Central Methodist Church in Cape Town. Starts at 5. And we're going to have the head of African Studies at UCT, Professor Suren Pillay, with historian Professor Shamil Jepi, Professor Ntuli, and then Mary Tal, who is a refugee from Cameroon, speak to issues of forced displacement, of what is happening in Sudan and what is happening in Palestine. So the festival combines cultural voices with academic voices, scholarly inquiry and creative expression through theater, poetry, dance, through different cultural mediums. And we're also trying to be intergenerational.
Okay.
So
it seems to be a real sort of holistic approach to some of the atrocities that we are seeing around the world. I hope it plays out well. Nazima Mohammed, Living Rights Festival Coordinator, thank you for talking to us.
Access to the internet is vital for any country to grow. That's why the recent 6.75 billion rand digital infrastructure deal that Standard Bank Corporate and Investment Banking facilitated between Telkom and an Actors-led consortium is so transformational for South Africa. It unlocks growth and provides internet access to underserved communities who will now have access to the internet for the very first time. Search CIB Stories of Impact to watch the full story.
Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
A man driven to the edge. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you're with. When his beloved takeaway was taken away. I will look for you. I will find you. And I will eat you.
It's the summer of stars at Simply Asia. Stand a chance to win a Toyota Starlet when you spend 200 Rand or more on our famous flavors. Order now. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai-way.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar, and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a businesswoman on the way to the airport after sleeping through her alarm. Bags in the back, boarding pass on the dashboard. She prays she'll make her flight. Hope I make it. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's the potential closing of a big deal. Every story's different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005. In proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
702 was in conversation with Nedbank, discussing all the insights, opinions, and expectations of the B20 summit.
G20 is an international forum. It's actually got 19 countries, plus then the European Union and the African Union, and they typically get together at these summits to discuss global economic and financial issues. But for our purposes, Clement, this means, as it's the first time it's happening on the African continent, it means that for the first time we won't be just participating in the global finance. We're actually going to help shape it. For the longest time, Africa has just been a follower of frameworks that are designed elsewhere in Europe and the US. For the first time, we have this opportunity to co-create some of the rules that are going to guide how finance reflects our priorities as Africans for growth and also inclusion in the global financial system.
To hear the full lowdown, visit primemediaplus.com. Brought to you by Nedbank, proud sponsors of the B20 Summit on 702. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It really is another day of inquiries, and you can dip into them. Many of them are underway at the moment. Shamila Batoy finally taken out of the office that she sat in all day yesterday, and she is talking about Andrew Chauke and his fitness for office at the Nkabinda inquiry. We've got a lot more coming up after this, and obviously if you want to get a TV wrap, a visual wrap of all the day's news, remember that there is the day that was that goes out at 7 and 8 p.m. It's 1 o'clock now. Time for the news.
This is EWN.
MPs still concerned about the credibility of Cedric Ngabinde, and consumer price inflation rises to 3.6%.